Hi, and welcome back to Astrological Intentions. This is episode 14, and we are recording on October 16th, 2018. I am your host, Alex Rueve, along with my mother.
And I am Sandy Rueve.
She is the optimistic astrologer, and we are bringing the stars down to you. So we have coming up in the transits, first quarter moon in Capricorn.
The growth phase.
Mercury trine Neptune.
Creative imagination.
Mercury square Mars.
Feeling threatened?
Mercury sextile Pluto.
Good day to get the answer.
And a recap on Venus retrograde.
We're 11 days into the retrograde.
Then we have our Talisman Times.
So I did 3 that I predicted I would do last week. I'll talk about those, and I've got one coming up on Thursday, the 18th, which is indeed the Mercury trine Neptune.
On the horizon, we have the Beth Davis event happening October 24th to 27th.
Yep.
We have 2 free tickets. We have a really special announcement of a brand new Jupiter and Sagittarius webinar series that you podcast listeners are hearing first. We have an announcement of our Mexico retreat. We have a special astrological interview with Marcella Lay that you can check out on our podcast list. Also, we will be mentioning a little bit more about our Bali retreat. Then finally, our house.
I've got 2 stories about last week's Mercury opposing Uranus. One good, one not so good. It's Uranus. Who knows?
And I'm smiling extra bright these days from my story. And I'll tell you why, as well as a message and a story from one of our podcast listeners. Stay tuned for this episode of Astrological Intentions.
You got the keys. You got the keys. You got the keys. You got the keys.
Here is episode 14. Let's start with the first quarter moon in Capricorn.
It's at 24 degrees Capricorn. It happened this afternoon around 1 o'clock. It really is interesting. It looks like a half moon, where it's halfway between the new moon and halfway to the full moon. And this is when we have this testing phase. You know, it's a growth time where if we've set an intention, a week ago, and now it's might be a little bit of a
obstacle.
Yeah, something's coming in. It's like, we're questioning, are we going to make it? Are we going to make this work? Or do we have to break this? And it questions us on how important is this for us? Because it really is testing us to say, do you really want this? You gotta work harder for it, or readjust it some way.
Tests your grit.
Right. But you can see it. We were on our way tonight and we saw it up in the sky and said, it's such a beautiful placement up there.
It is. It's
just coming out of its crescent phase, and now it's considered first quarter, but it looks like a half moon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I love watching that moon phase because it does change so quickly that it helps remind us that there's so much change going on, that we don't have to worry about things being so stagnant and still, or, being in such a hurried mess all the time.
Right.
Because those moons are changing every single day.
And it's going to look similar to this in 2 weeks when we get it. The other half of the moon is lit up. Mm-hmm. Right. So we'll be at another testing phase. We get 2 readjustment testing phases in our one month.
Okay, nice.
The next time, really, we kind of got a chill here until Friday. This is October 19th. We have the planet Mercury is trining the planet Neptune. And this happens at 4:48 a.m. here in Chicago, which is pretty interesting because this is like sleepy, dreamy time. This is, discussing dreams, waking up and journaling about them. It's a creative, imaginative time. It's a great time to write, to write poetry, to write music. to write fantasy.
And Neptune rules music and fantasy.
Right. Yeah. It's like the escapism of all the planets. It's not a great time to be punctual, on time, disciplined, and totally responsible, right? Because Neptune goes, let's just go with the flow. And Mercury's like, let me think that way. Let me talk that way. Let me learn that way. Let me go into my mind. And a trine, right, the 120 degrees is just a beautiful, sailing along the water. It's a mystical and spiritual subject time that you want to, be inspired. It's a good time to be inspired. So, get that new romantic book or go to a concert. Right?
Oh, that's awesome. I like both of those options.
Or take a bath.
Oh, or take a bath. Yes, Neptune waters. Yeah. Perfect.
That's right.
And put some Lush bombs in there for you just to add some more of that
little excitement. Yeah. And actually, this is one of the Talisman Times I'll get back to when we get to that segment. But this is what I'm going to grab. I'm going to grab this energy. What energy I'm not going to grab is that later that day,
the Mercury square Mars.
We got a square. Mm-hmm. Mercury's a big player, and Mercury's always a big player in our weeks because other than the moon moving the fastest and making many aspects in a week or in a day even, that Mercury is the one that makes the second fastest and makes many aspects through a day or week. And so later that day on Friday the 19th, at little after noon, we have the square, Mercury square Mars. So it's this like, the energy of the morning, of, non-discipline, not punctual, and all of a sudden we're feeling threatened. There's a difficulty in thinking clearly, rationally, or being productive. It can be a really cranky, irritable time where you're just not digging what's coming at you. You can't comprehend. Maybe there might be some where you have to like push, fight. This is like Mars can be the fighter, right? He's one of the malefics, and I also wrote here it's a Friday, and so if there's any important meetings on this Friday, the 19th, to really seriously postpone them until Monday. Monday is a much better day for any meetings with Mercury. However, on this Friday, it's a really good time. If you have to stand up to defend your beliefs, this is a great day to do it on this Friday, the 19th. Debates, anything where you're not in argument, but you're expressing your thought process, right? Not trying to over anyone, not trying to demand. This is not a great time to have a love relationship conversation, but to have a debate, right? Like, what if
an educated discussion?
Yeah,
what would be a good topic?
What are my needs? This is how I need my needs to be met, right? Something this is what I believe in, and this is really important to me. And, these are my boundaries, right? This is like standing up for one's, like kind of standing on one's soapbox, right? But
kind of professing.
Yeah. It's not really a great time to make agreements because the other person is going to maybe disagree. But if you have to stand up to kind of fight for what you believe in or fight for what it is you care about, a good time to go on a march.
Cool.
I
love it.
And yet on Monday, the 22nd, Mercury here now sextiles Pluto. Now sextile is a 60 degree and it's just easier energy that gives opportunity, but you have to take the action. You have to initiate the action.
And where Mars and Pluto are a little bit similar in the fact that they're both kind of what you call the malefics or what astrologers call the malefics.
True.
But here we have not Mercury square this malefic, it's sextile it. So it's
It's a
little
helper.
bit, yeah.
It's a little bit easier. And so this is where I say that meeting that you needed to postpone on Friday, where there might have been a little bit of, right? That this is the day to attend that meeting, to rearrange it for Monday, because it's a good day to get the answers.
And get to a solution.
Yeah. It's like research, probe, understand. Let's get to the bottom of this. Let's see the truth in this matter, and let's agree.
Interesting. Well, something, that's kind of coming up for me, Mercury square Mars is maybe that time to stand up if there's a problem going on and be almost the whistleblower, kind of speaking out about something that needs change, not necessarily doing anything about it or having a discussion over it of what needs to be solved, but then picking that back up on Monday.
That's a great idea. Yeah, especially with the format of the Friday to Monday.
And Monday, October 22nd, what time is that?
That's at 2:11 p.m. Again, Chicago time. And really, any time in that. When I give you dates and times, these are exact perfections when these two planets are exactly. And so they'll work, days in advance and days after.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good plan.
So it's a big week for, anything that has to do with getting messages or emails, or I know what we're getting ready to do tomorrow, right, is sending out a really big message.
So exciting. Well, our podcasters
new,
are going to hear about it first, probably.
Oh, that's true. Good. Yay, podcasters. Thanks
Lucky
for
you
listening.
guys.
I know I was grabbing some phones this past weekend, and I know we got some podcast listeners from, shall I say, the wine bar.
Oh, fun. Well, cheers. Cheers to all you new podcast listeners.
And one last thing about the transits. Remember, Venus is still in retrograde. We're 11 days into her retrograde cycle. So my question, what lessons have you been forced to look at? Like something that needs to be unearthed or,
reevaluated.
Yeah. Like the veil comes off. It's no longer sugar-coated. Around your love relationships, any relationships really, one-on-ones, and your money, your beauty, your worth, your material possessions, So I just question that because we're counting that. Well, it's not even a countdown. It's like a count up before we can get to that October 26th when that retrograde Venus crosses the sun. Right. And that's her halfway point. And then we'll start our countdown. But right now we're counting up.
Right. And also, I want to remind the podcast listeners that on episode 12, we had Susan Goodell in the studio with us. And she is a financial astrologer where she got to talk about the different things that she likes to do during Venus retrograde. And I really liked all of her input. So I welcome you guys to listen to that episode 12.
Yes.
And that'll also recap some things also about the love relationship aspects of Venus retrograde as well. So now on to Talisman Times.
Yes, let's do this. So I did grab 3 Talisman Times that I mentioned to you last week about the upcoming Talisman Times. Well, now they're past, and they're indeed in talisman form. The first one I did was Friday, October 12th. I did it at 8:57 p.m. I was in Reston, Virginia, and this was a Mercury sextile Saturn. And the intention to recognize what needs repair and repair it. The affirmation, I easily see imperfections where they don't belong. I turn my discipline to this and correct with ease. Now, that's better. I like to add that little piece back there.
I like it.
Right? It's like mother to child, right? Now there, honey, you're all better.
There, honey.
You're all better now. I also got back home on Sunday night and was ready for my Monday evening talisman. And this was Monday, October 15th. I started at 7:12 p.m. it was a Venus retrograde conjunct Mercury. This is to express in a loving manner, affirmation. In order for me to understand others' comments and requests, I listen intently before responding in a warm and caring expression. Yeah. That one one was pretty cool.
That's using that Venus goddess energy.
Because actually we were using that. The Venus was the ruler of the chart because I was using the Taurus rising. And then just a little bit later, about an hour later, that same conjunction I was using, but now with a Gemini rising. So I made a bracelet at 8:39 p.m. It was now it's Mercury conjunct Venus retrograde to increase favorable business deals. And the affirmation, I understand these opportunities as they are presented. I see the pattern that best suits me and my requirements. I happily agree to this deal that provides me with all I need and want. Isn't that cool?
That's a great way to start a business.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Just 4 more business opportunities that are favorable. The one I've got coming up this week, I've only got one. I got to get busy, right? But on Thursday, October 18th, at 8:27 p.m., we have the Gemini rising with, again, it's this Mercury trine Neptune. And I really like this one. I guess it's because I'm a Pisces. But to enjoy the sweetness of doing nothing.
Dolce Vignette.
Yes. The affirmation, I fantasize and dream today. I allow the ease and beauty of this moment to surround me with peace and bliss.
That sounds wonderful. A very freed mind.
Right. It's sometimes what we need in this hurried life while we watch the moon constantly, moving around and getting,
or worry about our
lighting
to-do
up
lists.
And, getting full and then waning and then new and then wax. It's just like, there's so much going on. Do we really sit in the peacefulness of ourselves? And really, I titled it, I wish I could have Dolce Vignette Day. But I didn't think most people would know that. So that's what I
It's
interpreted.
Italian. It's Italian for the sweetness of doing nothing.
Yeah. So to enjoy the sweetness of doing nothing. Yeah.
On the horizon, coming up October 24th to 27th.
Is the Beth Davis Summit. This is in Los Angeles. I'll be out there for these 3 days. And actually, I have 2 free tickets.
Get them now. It's going to be a really cool event where they talk about
hand analysis. She'll talk about the human design program. She'll run that for everyone. It's a small group, 100-ish people that we get all of, Beth's time. She'll put people up on the hot seat and really contact Alex for this 2 free tickets.
Yes, we have 2 free tickets. They are an incredible value. And email me at info@intentionbeads.com if you want to take those 2 free tickets to the LA Beth Davis event.
Yeah, it's at the airport. So if anyone's living in LA, should be easy for you. That could be a no-brainer. But, hurry and grab those. This starts in 8 days. Yeah. But, something we've never done before.
Yes. So our podcast listeners, you guys are super lucky. You are hearing this first. We are announcing our Jupiter in Sagittarius. It is a webinar workshop. And basically what that means is you have Sandy for 3 hours where she's already sent you your personal chart, a message that is coming from the universe directly to your doorstep, as well as she will be facilitating a live ceremony on this kind of Zoom call where everyone's there and hand making your talisman with your affirmation inside of it. Because she's going to be teaching you about Jupiter in Sagittarius.
For about the first hour, we talk about what Jupiter gets into Sagittarius once every 12 years for 1 year and moves in on November 8th. At the minute that we are starting the first, I'm having two workshops. The November 8th at 1:01 p.m. Chicago time, and November 9th, that's a Friday, at 6:01 p.m. But the first hour will be all about what Jupiter does and what Jupiter does in Sagittarius, what this bringing for the world, the neighborhood, but especially for you individually, because I get your birth information before this date. I look to see where Jupiter is transiting in your natal chart to see where is the growth, expansion, optimism, hopefulness, study, the new idealism, this optimistic feeling. Where is that happening in your chart for this next year? So, I give you a message. You get it back to you. I get it back to you in your email, and then when we go live on this one of these 2 times, which one you sign up, I talk about where Jupiter is, and then we go into a ceremony where I'm now hand rolling while you're repeating the affirmation. We go, one person at a time, and I'm rolling this intention into your bead.
And so your bead then has this incredible Jupiterian Sagittarius trip that happens all the way around the world. So what we do is we send these talisman beads. Once we've baked them, hardened them, we ship them over to our friends Bali Malas out in Bali, Indonesia, and you get to customize your mala the way that you want it. So you actually get to pick the color of the tassel.
Like 39 different colors.
39 different colors that you get to choose from. And if you want to take a peep at what these malas look like, head to our website, intentionbeads.com/events, and you'll see the Jupiter and Sagittarius webinar workshop. So this is going to be a really cool event because your talisman bead will be traveling the entire way around the world. So we ship it over to Bali. They finish it there with Rudraksha seeds, bless it in a Balinese temple, put it on in that mala form with that color tassel that really ignites you. And then they ship it around the other side of the world. So it is making a full circle. And I mean, if that's not Jupiter and Sagittarius, I don't know what is.
We can't get any bigger than that.
No, we really can't. And so this is going to be a very sacred, really wonderful workshop. And I welcome you all to join in. And another cool thing too, is if you can't technically be there on that time, you can still participate. I'm going to be recording the whole workshop so that you can come in at a later time. You just send us your affirmation that you want us to work with your talisman.
I still do the chart. I still give you the message, where your growth period is in this next year. You give us the affirmation, and I still roll it in for you, and you still get the mala. It will take about, depends on the shipping.
Somewhere around 6 weeks.
Yeah, around 6 weeks to get this back into your hands and around your neck.
And at that time, Jupiter will still be in Sagittarius. All of this wonderful energy is still going to be happening, but now you will have your talisman. You will have your talisman power with you.
Just in time for the new year.
Yes. So we're super excited about that. I welcome you guys all to look at our website and see how beautiful these mala tassels are and that bead that we chose for this Jupiter in Sagittarius.
I mean, any one of us is prime for this workshop, really, right? Jupiter goes here once every 12 years. However, for anyone that has the sun in Sagittarius, or actually the sun in Gemini, which means that Jupiter is opposing the sun, that's a really beautiful placement. Really, any moon in Sagittarius, moon in Gemini, rising sign Sagittarius, any of the fire signs, which would be then the Leo or the Aries, that's in a trine. I mean, this workshop is for everyone because Jupiter's in Sagittarius, for everyone, all the way from this November 8th time until December of 2019. So let's take advantage and set an intention about what it is you want to grow. What do you want to expand?
Yes.
do that with intention this next year.
I love that. I love that. And so if you head over to our website, if you want to learn any more information on that, also, message us if there's any questions that you have, or even if you think it's a stupid question. I field them all day, every day.
You want to tell the price?
The price is $244, and that includes everything. That includes the international shipping. It includes the customization of the mala. It includes the talisman. It includes the personal chart. It includes the printed...
The shipping into your house.
Right. And it includes, I print a personalized card to go with your talisman to prove its birth date, to prove all of the beautiful, energy that's held in this talisman bead.
Right. There's a tangible paper card that goes with this. And actually this is the first time we've ever done this 3-hour webinar workshop where I'm making beads for the participants. This is kind of something new, kind of tags along the idea of my constellation bracelet workshop. That's we'll talk about next week.
Yes. And so also on the horizon, we have coming up the Mexico retreat.
Boop,
and
boop.
Man, oh man, tonight was just a rebaptism into this amazing excitement that I guess just forgot about, because this retreat is so incredible. The location, we will be in La Ventana, close to La Paz,
right.
but La Ventana, and it's in the Baja Sur of Mexico. We're right there on the coast, right by the Sea of Cortez. We wake up every morning to the sunrise.
Right on the water.
On the water.
You went paddleboarding every
scuba
morning.
diving. And so this Mexico
You didn't go scuba diving.
Snorkeling.
Snorkeling. Yeah.
Yes.
And
swimming with the
whale sharks.
Yeah. Which it was absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
I will add a link to this description to show you guys a little bit of our recap video. But it's...
All right, let's get to it.
Yes.
January 5th.
Yes.
January 5th to the 12th. We are titling this The Light of the Moon. This is starting with the new moon and solar eclipse in Capricorn. And actually this entire week, because it's Saturday to Saturday, that we have 0 planets in retrograde.
Which is so strange for us,
So
because we
wild.
like to plan a lot of our retreats with retrograde planets, because it helps us, retreat,
review,
re-edit. And this is going to be a really wonderfully forward-moving retreat.
Yeah. With the light of the moon. And we called it that for the solar eclipse, but for other reasons that are kept under the, in the dark, let's say, until you get to the retreat, because we're intention beads and we are Millefiori artists. And so there is always a type of craft, right brain, left brain project that we do.
And I guess I like the word craft, but at the same time, I find it to be more art.
Got it.
Okay.
Got it. Okay.
I guess there might be a little trigger with me in craft, because it kind of seems like I got my scissors out and snip, snip, snip. And,
No, we're working with Millefiori polymer fine clay. Yeah.
So that Mexico retreat, we actually just finished our discussion with Marcella Lay, who
on the astrological interviews.
Right. And so that is coming up with this episode. So I welcome you guys all to, you can either pause here if you want to, or right after this episode, listen to the astrological interview with Marcella Lay from Casa Tara Retreat Center.
Yeah, she's the owner, founder, proprietor, friend.
Yoga mom.
Yeah.
She's so cool. And you'll get to know a little bit about her, story.
Her vision, her mission.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because this retreat center, she talks about all of the eco-friendly aspects of it. She talks about the incredible cuisine. She talks about the feng shui.
And she's not lying.
And she's not.
She's telling the truth, because this is our second retreat to Casa Tara.
Right.
That as soon as we got there last year, we had met her earlier she became a client of mine, her and her husband, and showed me what she was doing, saw her chart and said, man, you care about people. Libra rising, Cancer at the top of her chart. I'm like, you've got to have made a home for everyone to come to. I want to go check it out.
And that's so true.
It is.
So we have the early bird special that is happening until November 5th. And it is $2,200. That is for double occupancy. And that will get you absolutely everything but the 2 A's. Airfare and alcohol.
Oh, I like that.
Right. So jump on to our website.
I mean, I like that, alcohol and airfare.
Yeah. I got to do it. The dates of the trip are January 5th to January 12th. You do have options to stay a few days either before or after. The cost of the trip normally is $2,400, but with the early bird pricing, that is $2,200. So this is going to be a really, really wonderful transformational trip, and I welcome you guys to listen to that episode because you get an idea of the amazing fun that we've had. And check out that recap video. Head to intentionbeads.com, and it's actually the biggest part of our website right now because we just want to show you how beautiful this is. It's right there on the shore, and every single morning you watch this beautiful sunrise.
It's very private. She only has 12 rooms.
Right.
So it's not a lot of people coming and going. There's no elevators. We're right there. She's got this really small, little, cute restaurant.
And once you're on the beach, you're like looking around like, anybody?
Who's where?
Yeah.
There's no high rises. There's no buses going by. We really pretty much stay on property because nobody wants to leave. We feel like we're in this little safe spot. But it's you arrived to Cabo and we pick you up. It's our drivers we have used 3 times now. And it's about a 2.5-hour drive directly north.
Yeah, and you get to see amazing sights along the way.
It's pretty cool. And maybe meet some of the other retreaters that are on their quest as well.
Absolutely.
In fact, we have at least 4 that are returning from
last year. Yeah, so excited to have them back.
Right.
And I know that a lot of the other retreaters are sad that they're missing out, but that's okay. Next year.
Well, with our other retreat that's coming up in April 15th through the 26th, which is our annual retreat to Bali, Indonesia.
Right.
That, sometimes you have to make a decision. Are you going to Mexico for the week or are you going to Bali for 10 to 12 days? Right. So
that is a hard decision.
We'll talk about that, but that's also on our website. So you can look that we do these 2 annual retreats every year in these 2 places. And then we'll slowly be popping new retreats up more. Well, I think we want to do one in October or November of next year.
Right. So we actually don't have the Bali retreat on the website right now. However, if you do want to be notified, one of the first to be notified when we're opening the doors to the Bali retreat, email me info@intentionbeads.com and just mention that you want to be the first on the list and I will get you there. I will send you out a quick email with some early bird specials.
Yes, early birds. That it really does work. It really does work. All right. And then Celebrate Your Life is the first weekend in November. That's in Phoenix. This is Liz Dawn's signature event. It is not to be missed. It is magnificent with all their list of speakers. Next week, we'll go over more of the speakers that we'll name some of them. And then there's also the
Hay House
Live event.
Right. And I'll be doing that in Vegas with, again, so many influential writers and published authors.
One of your favorites.
One of my favorites, Joe Dispenza. Shout out to Dr. Joe. I'm so excited. This is
a lot coming up.
Lots coming up. I mean, it's very exciting. But now I'm just excited because...
Let's get to our house.
Okay. Our house.
Okay, the one thing I want to talk about, this has come up not just with me, but with some people that have been kind of responding to some of the podcast messages when we talk about in the transits. And last week I talked about the Mercury opposing Uranus, and that, Mercury, the message, thoughts, ideas, conversations, opposition to Uranus is like sudden, unexpected messages are coming in, or an email or a phone call that may or may not, for the ill or for the good, right? They could be wonderful messages.
Right.
But interesting that 2 days later, after this actually was perfected, and that often the times happens.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That I got an email that that kind of disappointed a plan that I had set in motion that I was super excited about for next year.
And it seemed so solid.
And I thought it was for sure. It was in my calendar. Like, I didn't buy flights
confirmed,
yet.
yeah.
And got a message that, a disappointing message. So it was like, well, I'm an astrologer. Like, there's a reason for that, right? Mm-hmm. And when I talk about Grandmaster Lu's 3 rules, which is I want to talk about next because I just came from the traditional Chinese medicine, I'm just going to talk about this before we go into our second thing, is like there are no accidents. The body never lies. And when harmony is achieved, the body can heal itself. So with that kind of said, I was like, this disappointment that I had was like, there are no, accidents, there are no mistakes. Mm-hmm. Everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
So it's like, okay, I'm just now waiting for the other thing to occur, like on the good level.
Right. The balance.
Because, I'm not that disappointed. Right.
Oh, right.
Right. So anyway, you had a share with that whole Mercury opposition.
I think I have 2.
Oh.
Really? So one would be my personal one where I got 2 free electric toothbrushes.
Oh, this is a funny story.
So
one's for me, right?
We'll see.
Oh, God.
I'm just kidding. Yes,
Look at my teeth.
Yes. We'll get you.
Maybe I don't need
We'll
it.
get you. So there's this company called Burst, and they have been doing a lot of, Facebook ads. And so I've noticed them, and I've never had an electric toothbrush. So I was so excited to get one. I jump on there, and the account had all these past orders on it. And I had, signed up with my own email, and I knew that I've never ordered anything. All of the previous addresses were already in there with names I had no idea, in, everywhere from Texas to Georgia to, California. And I was a little bit nervous. There was even a credit card in there already.
Yikes.
So I was just like, this isn't mine. So I hurried and I went over to their customer service, and I told them everything that was happening, sent them screenshots, and I get a message back saying, oh, it looks like one of our ambassadors' accounts was mixed up with yours. What we're going to do is send you a free Burst toothbrush.
Woo!
And so I was just like, cha-ching, awesome. Because they're about like $60, $70.
Yeah.
They're a good investment. And so I had mentioned, oh, that's wonderful. Just let me know when my account's back up, because I also want to purchase one for my mom. And
thank you.
There you go. It actually was for you. And so as soon as I do that, a few days later, they say, hey, everything is cleared up with the account. Sorry for the wait. Also, didn't realize that I had already put in an order for your Burst starter kit. So you should be expecting 2 electric toothbrushes.
Oh,
so
for free.
Yes.
On their mistake.
Yes.
That is such a Mercury opposing Uranus.
So
you had a lovely,
unexpected.
Yeah.
I had a lovely one.
Like an internet snafu, not your problem, and you got 2 surprise gifts.
Right.
Yeah.
And we also had a surprise gift today. This morning, we had one of our podcast listeners, messaged us and said, hi, ladies. I want to thank you all for the incredible service you provide. Your podcast has been something I look forward to each week. I wanted to let you know about my Mercury conjunct Venus story. I had a very busy day on Monday, but all day I was wondering about when this message would come through from Mercury. By the end of the day, I was able to complete everything, but went to bed still wondering about the message. Where was it? This morning, my mom called and told me she had a dream about her, my grandmother, my brother, and myself visiting a university. And we enjoyed our time together. Unbeknownst to her, last night I started an application to a university I was looking at. And my mom is a Virgo sun. So that really, truly was the message from the sun carried by Mercury. And it was a huge confirmation of the path I was going to take. Thank you, ladies. Without your work, I would have overlooked this integral message.
That's Maya?
Yeah.
Yes. So great that you...
From Virginia.
Yes. Thank you for getting that information to us. It just kind of warms my heart that you know that you're on the right path. Yeah.
Absolutely. And just to be aware of this, and, maybe, who knows? I don't know any daughters out there that might think that their mom was crazy for calling them and talking to them about a dream they had. But that was that awareness, of that was that confirmation. And that was just such a cool...
Good for you.
Yeah.
That you could relate the two. Like you said, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. Right?
And so to wrap up our house, I wanted to learn, I know that you were at the TCM, which is the traditional Chinese medicine
conference again this year.
Actually in Virginia.
Yes.
Not too far away from Maya.
Reston, Virginia, right? Yeah. And, lots of Grandmaster Lu tells many great stories and very many great teachings. But one of the things that kind of enlightened me last year, which I didn't get to get all this information, and so that every 2 hours, our energy or our chi energy moves through the body meridians and the organs every 24 hours. So in every 2 hour period, it's focused on a very important part of the body, one of our lung, I said lung because I'm looking at it, but one of our organs. And so I just kind of want to go over that. I just think this is cool. And I think in our house, Alex, it'd be really interesting to watch this time frame for us. And they start the day through the Chinese Buddhist calendar of the days. They start at 3 a.m. Because this is when the Buddhist monks would get up and begin their practice of meditating and chanting. And so from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. is the lungs. Mm-hmm. From 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. is the large intestine, which, by the time we wake up in the morning, it's time to get going in the morning.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah. 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. is the stomach. 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. is the spleen. Now, these are all the organs that use the chi energy to repair during the 24-hour period.
So it's the body clock.
It's the body clock.
And when these organs are cleansing, or
when they're cleansing, and when the energy is moving through this.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. is the heart. 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. is the small intestine. 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. is the bladder. 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. is the kidneys. 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. is the sexual system, they call it. But this is the reproductive. It was said that because everyone would go, the circadian rhythm of the timing of the day, this is when people would enjoy or procreate or have their sexual pleasure.
7 to 9?
7 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Okay.
And then 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. is the gallbladder, and 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. is the liver. And so those are the two most important times to sleep. So he claims that by trying to maybe slowly go to bed at 10:30 p.m., that you're asleep by 11, so that key part is from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. And just interesting that if you would watch the time of day that something would be going on, like if you wake up at 3 a.m., and you're constantly waking up at 3 a.m., is there 3 a.m. is liver. Is there a liver
or
issue?
Lung. Yeah, liver or lung.
Yeah. Well, it's a very you're starting to wake up prior to the 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
So they're saying that being the liver. So just interesting to watch. I thought that was really kind of cool information to watch
that's
your
great
body,
information.
your body clock, right?
Yes. And I do remember, I guess, from last year's Chinese medicine conference, I remember that. And I remember waking up, from a very intense party, the night before. And I woke up right at, it was like 2:50 a.m. And I was like, oh, I need water. And I looked on my phone to see what hour of that. And I was like, oh, liver. Interesting.
Huh. Whoops.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, thank goodness the liver does repair and cleanse daily. But, it can only clear and clean so much. Right. I'm actually doing a liver detox right now.
Right.
The push catch that my Dr. Sina put me on.
From Quicksilver, I think.
Yeah, it's from Quicksilver.
Mm-hmm.
And my lovely Dr. Sina, my naturopath in Sedona, suggested I get on it. I don't know. Maybe my liver's been around for 62 years plus.
And you're a Pisces, so there you go.
Okay. Anyway, that's what's going on in our house.
And I will do the honors and just say, one, thank you so much to all of our podcast listeners. And Maya, thank you so much for sending in your story. I love sharing that. Keep them coming. I want to hear from the rest of you guys. Email me, info@intentionbeads.com. Private message me on Instagram, and, reach out on our website if you need to. We love to hear your stories. We love to answer your questions.
I want to add one last thing I forgot to say. Oh my gosh. So the Light of the Moon Mexico retreat, I am offering complimentary 15-minute readings.
That's right.
If you're interested in attending this retreat with us, there's a place to fill out. You go to our website, like Alex told you to do. And there's a place for a complimentary reading based on, not what's going on now, but what's happening during the retreat.
Right.
Those 7 days. What is in store for you to collect, set intentions for during that retreat time? What's going on for you? So that's interesting. And then you can ask me any questions about the retreat that you might have.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so schedule an appointment.
Thank you all for listening. This was episode 14 of Astrological Intentions. We will see you next week.
Bye-bye.